Hello everyone, this is Raven Ironwing, and welcome to my channel. Today I decided to do a quick video critique of this YouTuber that I just recently found. YouTube recommended me this particular video that we're going to take a look at today. And we're going to talk about the problems with this video. And the problems with YouTube in general recommending crap like this that is full of just fake nonsense. Now, to the untrained person, the person doesn't really have much experience with electrical work or electronics, you might see this and think, yeah, that seems pretty legitimate. But if you know your way around electronics and computers, you would definitely recognize some issues with this. So I am by no means an electrical engineer, though I do have a degree in physics. I did take some electronics classes. I have dabbled in electronics, prototyping, and things like that since I was a child. I am pretty amateur, yeah, but I also did teach a lab section for introductory electronics. Nothing too intense, just basic analog stuff with a little bit of digital stuff. So voltage dividers, resistors, capacitors, simple circuits involving things like inductors and stuff. Nothing too advanced. But it doesn't really take a lot of advanced knowledge to recognize that this video is a fraud. So we're going to take a look at this. We won't watch the entire video, but basically this guy digs out this old power supply from a bin, and this LightScribe DVD player. It's a SATA DVD player, and that's kind of an important distinction. And supposedly he's going to make a DIY powerful ultra bass amplifier out of this. And if you read the description, he says, make a CD player from an old CD-ROM. Well, technically this is not a CD-ROM drive, this is a DVD drive, but they also read CD-ROMs. Actually, this is technically possible, but it would not be easy with the kind of drive he's using, and the way he does it is just complete bogus. It's just completely bogus. Okay, so he digs these out. He's just bridging this, plugging the drive in to turn it on. So this first part is legitimate. You can really turn a power supply on just by bridging these two wires. And he's got it hooked up to this portable battery-powered inverter. So none of that is too sketchy. But where it gets sketchy is where he takes it apart and then starts doing some soldering to supposedly make a CD player and an ultra bass amplifier out of it. So let's take a look at this part right here. Alright, so he's dismantling it. The warranty's now void on this thing. Actually, you can tell he's taken it apart before because the warranty sticker has already been broken. And here, what's the very first thing he does? He pokes at it, and then he gets out his tweezers. He really likes tweezers in this video. And then he removes this protective coating over this integrated circuit. So what this kind of integrated circuit does, it has, this is probably an EEPROM chip or something similar, that has a light-sensitive cell, and when you expose it to light, it erases the ROM, or the read-only memory, on that. It erases the memory on that chip. So now that it's exposed to light, you might have to actually expose it to UV light, but there's probably enough UV light from the sun, since he's outside. So this chip is probably pretty much erased, so it needs to be reprogrammed to really do much of anything at this point. So that's the first indicator that there's something kind of messed up. Like, why would he do that in the first place? And first of all, you should be asking yourself, what exactly is this chip, and what does it do? We can't really tell yet because we can't read the numbers on it, but let's keep watching. Okay. There we go. We have a pretty clear view of the numbers. Well, not so much yet. There's a better shot later on. So he gets out some enamel-coated wire. And I don't know why he's cutting it off like that. And this guy, the way he applies this flux, the way he applies flux is just really messy. I would never apply flux like that. You could seriously cause damage with all that flux. And he's applying it like all over this. He's only going to solder a few wires on here, but he's applying flux all along there. Look how fluxed up that is. Okay, here we have a very clear view of what this chip is. And if we look up this number, I couldn't actually find the data sheet for this, but the cool thing about integrated circuits like this is you can easily look up the numbers on them and see exactly what they are. Now, if I created an account, I could figure out exactly what this chip is, but here we have the chip right here. I just googled the number on it, and we can tell if we click on, where's it at? On datasheet. This website doesn't actually have a datasheet for this specific model, but all the similar models are multiple channel motor driver circuits. So this is a circuit for driving motors, which makes sense. I mean, what is this? It's a CD drive. It has the motor that ejects the drive tray, CD tray. It has the motor that spins the CD. It has the motor that repositions the laser. So there are a lot of motors going on here, so it needs a multiple channel motor controller, and that's exactly what this is. So let's see what he does with this multiple channel motor controller. Okay, he's taking that enamel plated motor wire and he is soldering onto what I believe is a voltage regulator. So he's soldering that to the output of what looks like a voltage regulator. Might be some other kind of transistor. And then he's just soldering on these. Okay, he's bridging those two for some reason. And then he's bridging these. And that is so much flux all over that. It's kind of an interesting idea using enamel-plated motor wire for bridging wires like that. It does make it quite a bit easier than having plastic-coated wire that you have to strip the tips off of. So everything this person's doing isn't completely bogus, but let's just think about this. He's soldering wires all over an erased, where the memory has been erased on this IC. Okay, that wire there is probably the voltage input, and he's connecting that to ground, so that doesn't make much sense. And that seems a little sketchy. I'm not an expert on what this chip is, but it's definitely a motor controller. So after I was watching this, I was thinking, man, it just looks like he's soldering random wires all over the place. Okay, so how many wires? Let's just pause that for a minute and look at what he has done. Okay, so he soldered wires to... Actually, this probably isn't ground. This is probably the... well, yeah, if this is a voltage converter, a voltage regulator, that is ground, most likely. So he's got a bunch of wires soldered to that voltage regulator, or it could be a MOSFET or a transistor of some kind. It's definitely a transistor or regulator of some kind. And Yeah, so he's just got 1, 2, 3, 4 wires, 5 wires soldered on there between these 3 elements, and supposedly doing that is going to transform this into an ultra bass amplifier and CD player. Okay, let's just keep watching and see what he does next. Alright, he's putting it back together. That's kind of boring. Okay, what does he do after he puts it back together? Okay, he's turning it on again. I don't know why he's doing that. Skip ahead. He's putting a music CD in. Okay, let's skip ahead. He's plugging in a SATA cable. So, for those of you that don't know, the SATA cable transmits digital data. So, that's a digital data cable, not for transmitting audio. Oh, and he cut the SATA cable end off, and he's splicing the wires on of the SATA cable. Okay, he's stripping the wires. That is a valid way of stripping wires, though I wouldn't do that because you're going to inhale a lot of plastic fumes. And is he going to solder that SATA cable onto a speaker? Wait, okay, he's tinning the ends of the wire? I mean, yeah, sure. Hold on. He's soldering 2 of the wires together on one of the terminals and the other one. Okay, he just randomly decides I'm gonna solder these 2 SATA wires together and these 2 SATA wires together, and somehow that's going to function as an audio output from the SATA jack? Yeah, this is the point where you can really tell this is extremely sketchy. He, of course, uses his external power supply because that makes it legitimate. Okay. Oh, man. Okay, yeah, he's yelling at his dog or something, I don't know. Okay, then he bridges the connection on the power supply and it turns on and immediately starts playing music. Yeah, it's Okay, let's talk about the issues with this. The first issue here is that this motor controller is absolutely necessary for controlling the function of the CD drive. If you alter this and solder on a bunch of random wires like that together to that voltage regulator and this other component, whatever that is, he automatically compromised this when he exposed it to sunlight. So immediately, this thing is not going to function correctly. It's not going to be able to move the laser around and read the CD properly because he messed up this chip. Now, can you convert a motor controller into an audio amplifier? And the answer to that question is yes, you can. You can convert certain kinds of motor controllers, like an H-bridge or a dual H-bridge, into an audio amplifier. But the thing is, where is the audio signal coming from? It's certainly not coming from a voltage regulator. It's certainly not coming from this component. So where is the audio signal coming from? I thought, well, maybe it's possible that they still had some sort of analog audio, a digital to analog audio converter in newer CD drives, even though they don't have an analog out, because the older CD drives have an analog audio out. So sometimes they still use the same old chips for things. So it's possible there is some sort of analog audio circuitry involved here, but it doesn't look like he's tapping into that in any way, especially not through the motor controller. That's just bizarre. He's not soldering that onto anything that should involve an audio signal. And then he doesn't do anything to modify the SATA signal to make it into an audio signal. I mean, yeah, you could technically, disconnect the wires or the traces that go to that SATA port and rewire it for an audio out. But does he do that? No, he doesn't. He just solders it on and somehow it works. So obviously this video is fake, and we can tell that because the motor controller is necessary for this to work. Yes, you can play audio CDs on a DVD drive, but you need a computer to interpret that digital signal when it's a SATA DVD drive. If it's an older DVD drive that has an analog audio out, though, then you actually can do this. You can convert it into a CD player, and let's go ahead and look at a video that does just that. So this video is by this YouTuber, Zafayidldiz. I have no idea how to pronounce that name. But this is a legitimate method for how to convert an old CD drive into a DVD drive. So the first part of the video, he just simply uses this variable voltage regulator circuit here, and then he uses a multimeter to measure to make sure it's outputting 5 volts, and he connects it to a 12 volt power supply, and that's how he gets 12 volts and 5 volts, because you need both 12 volt and 5 volt rails to power an old CD or DVD drive. So he's using a CD-ROM drive for this. And as long as it's an IDE one that has an audio out, you could do this. So here there's the final product there, where he's just showing the voltage regulator that he created using that variable voltage regulator. So he has 5 volts, ground, and everything he needs to power that Molex connector. Then he plugs that in and tests it out. And with these drives, when you stick a CD in, they automatically output the analog audio from the CD, so they'll read it and start playing it, and they output it through the headphones. So he demonstrates that. But then what do you need to do to have it so it outputs audio that you can hook up to speakers? Well, what he does here is he severs the connections. Let me back up a bit. He severs these connections right here. This is the analog audio out on this old CD drive. And again, the first video doesn't have an analog audio out. It just has the digital SATA out that then the computer interprets and converts into analog audio through the onboard sound card. So here he's severing these so he can splice in an amplifier circuit that's pre-made between this. So he's amplifying that circuit. So in a second you'll see that amplifier circuit. So there he's just bridging the ground wires together and tinning those connections. And now he's soldering on the left and right channels and the ground. And there it is. This is the amplifier IC. You can get like 15 of these for like $10 off Amazon. And this is the integrated circuit that this particular one uses. So they're really super cheap, and this one's powered off of 5 volts, and he's going to power that off of the 5 volts, the same 5 volts that goes to the Molex connector. So you just hook up the left, right, and ground channels, and then here he has the speaker out. So here you put the audio in, the power, and then the speaker out. So there's no volume regulation on this. It just plays at full volume when you use this kind of IC. And there he's just using some adhesive, and he's going to stick that in place just so it doesn't wobble around and short something out. And then he just solders it on. So let's just fast forward a bit and see the final product. Oh, I went a bit too fast. So there it is. All he did is he spliced in this little amplifier, so it's amplifying the audio, the analog audio that is already there, and then it's outputting the amplified audio back to the original audio jack. And then he's going to hook up that audio out. Well, first he hooks up the power. Skip that part. Then he puts it all back together. And then he hooks up that audio out to some speakers, and it's going to work because this drive has an analog audio out, so it already has a digital to analog converter. And it's hooked up to an amplifier now, a powered amplifier, because he just spliced that in. So this is an easy way to convert an old CD player or an IDE DVD player into a CD player. So a CD-ROM drive, I mean, into a CD player. And there you have it. So here we can compare and contrast a fake video with a real video that's accomplishing the same thing. So why? I mean, was it any harder to accomplish the real video than the fake video? I mean, the real video was actually less soldering than the fake video. Or at least the same amount of soldering. Oh man, why do these fake videos exist? Do they just exist to irritate us? I don't know. And why does YouTube keep recommending them? And why does that video have like over 1 million views? But legitimate videos don't. I mean, let's compare and contrast the views on these. Okay. This video has 90,000 views, whereas the fake video has almost 1.5 million views. Oh man. YouTube really needs a way of telling the difference between what is fake and what is real, and the thing is, most people don't know the difference between what is fake and what is real. And I am no electronics expert, but I do know enough about electronics to recognize that this video has serious issues. But this video is legitimate. I know this video is legitimate. I've even done things like this before with CD drives, so yeah. Unfortunately, this is not where the problems with this channel, Technical DIY, end. After this, I decided to check out another one of this guy's videos. I was just going through this to see if there's anything legitimate in here, and perhaps there are some legitimate things. But then I found this one. DIY powerful ultra bass amplifier using a broken compact fluorescent light bulb. And here he takes the light bulb apart, and he just randomly starts soldering wires on it again. He doesn't disconnect any of the solder traces that are on this thing. He's just adding more and more wires. If you were really converting this into an amplifier, you'd have to seriously rearrange these traces. You'd have to cut traces, not just randomly add traces. But there's this particular part right here, where you can tell this is obviously fake. What is he doing? He's bridging this point here and this point here, and these 2 points are already connected. They're on the same trace, look. Now, is there any reason why you would connect 2 wires that are already on the same trace? Yes, there is one legitimate reason for this. And the reason why you would ever want to connect 2 wires that are already connected is if you're modifying the circuit for higher current flow. So if you needed more current to flow between this point and this point, then sure, this would be a valid way of doing it. But, I'm almost 100% positive that is not what this guy is doing. He's just randomly soldering things on the back of this. And we can tell that because he's not actually disconnecting any of the existing traces. You can't take a circuit that is designed to convert a voltage into a higher voltage signal with a higher frequency to function as a ballast to power a compact fluorescent bulb. You can't just suddenly make that into an amplifier by bridging a bunch of stuff together. Oh, man. Oh. Anyway, I just wanted to create this video to educate everyone out there to not believe all the stuff you see. This person obviously has some real soldering skills, obviously has some real electronic skills, so why are they making fake videos? I don't understand this. I kind of think this might be because of a certain kind of phenomenon that happens. So, let me tell you a story. My sister was taking this class, and there was this guy that would always raise his hand, this student, he'd always raise his hand and share these random facts relating to the subject that the class is talking about that would just ooh and ah the entire class. And then one day my sister asked this guy how he knew so much. And he said, well, at first he spent a lot of time studying and figuring things out. And then he just noticed that people just believed whatever he said. They didn't ever question it because it seemed like, you know, he knew what he was talking about. So he figured out he'd basically just make up whatever he wanted and present it with confidence, and people wouldn't question him. And I think that's exactly what happened with this YouTuber. I think they just maybe originally started making videos. I'd have to go back and check if the other videos are legitimate at all. But I think they were making videos legitimately at first, but it was just a lot of work, and they realized all they really needed to do was solder a bunch of crap on a bunch of old electronic parts and fake it as being an amplifier by hooking up a Bluetooth amplifier that you can't see, or just, you know, dubbing in some audio somewhere. And he would get just as many, if not more, views, because people believe that this crap is real. So my challenge to you is just to question everything. Don't believe that all this crap is real. I guarantee you everything on my channel that I show you is legitimate. Now, there are some kind of sneaky things that I will do on my channel, and I have done, but I will let you know what they are. I mean, but when it comes to electronics, when it comes to showing you how to do things, I'm not going to lie to you, and I don't get why anyone would do this. But this kind of stuff is all over the internet. Electroboom exposes this kind of stuff. A lot of people expose this kind of stuff, and I just saw this today, and I thought if someone with my limited electronic skill can recognize this, I mean, I do know a lot, but there's a lot I don't know, and I make a lot of mistakes too, so I'm not an expert, but I can tell that this is not legitimate. This is some seriously fake stuff. Anyway, I might do more critical reviews like this. If you guys want some videos you want me to look at, let me know. In general, I don't like to critique other people's work, but if it's obviously fake, if it's misinformation like this, we have to stand up against it, because this is just not cool. Anyway, that's all I have to say for today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this. And if you didn't like it, then tell me why in the comment section below. Have a good one. Take care. Bye.